I could probably loosely categorise the responses into three groups. Those that are just full of support, really happy to see us happy again. Then there's probably those that are really judgmental, don't want to know about it. And then there's a group that are somewhere in the middle that probably don't understand it, particularly the timeline, but are smart enough not to say anything. That's how I'd best put it.
Give Mummy a kiss.
Thank
Good
you,
boy.
darling.
Sheree's death changed everything. She was my best mate. She was my wife. She was the mother of the kids, my lover. And you think it's going to last forever. So, starting a new relationship 9 months after she died. I'm not naive, I know that it's challenging. I can't say I feel guilt. I think Sheree would actually understand. Nobody can ever replace Sheree, but I actually think she'd be happy for all of us. I really do. It's not always perfect though. It's not always that simple. If only it was.
Sheree and I became friends when I was probably 9 and she was 10. Sheree was kind, she was just bubbly, she was just beautiful. Like, she was just the most lovely, lovely person you could ever come across. Sheree and Col meeting was pretty random, a bit unexpected, her picking up this tall, dark, handsome Melbourne guy.
We met at the Baruga Sports Club. I was on a golf trip with my mates, a trip that I wasn't actually going to go on. It was a last minute thing for me. Sheree was very down to earth. She was a country girl, very laid back, and we just hit it off.
They just did life really well together. They just adulted really well together, and you know, they were just awesome.
Sheree and I knew very early on that we were going to be life partners. I just knew she was going to be a great mum, and it was definitely part of the reason why I married her.
This is going to be your room, Bubba, when you're a little bit bigger.
You know, having a family was all I ever wanted.
There he is. Say hello. Hey. Big yawn. Back to mum.
Thank you.
As we were raising the boys, you know, I wanted to capture as much as I could.
Yeah, so we thought one day you might really like to be able to sit down and watch a video and see what you're like when you're a baby, and see what the parents are like when they're a bit younger.
Oh, it's getting heavy.
And just in case something happens to one of us one day, and you can see what things are like when you're with your parents.
Not for a moment did I think that I was actually really going to need that, to be honest.
Where's Mitchell?
But, yeah, here we are. It was the last day of Melbourne's last COVID lockdown, the 21st of October 2021. Some of the settings had changed and we were allowed outside to do some exercise and that sort of thing. And so for the first time in a long time, Sheree was home alone. I came home at about 6:30 p.m. I walked into the master bedroom and then into the ensuite, and that was when I found her. Initially I thought she'd sort of just slumped and was passed out or something like that, and I grabbed her and pulled her around, and I immediately knew that she was actually dead. And so I immediately started CPR. I screamed out to the boys to call 000. And eventually the ambos came and told me that they couldn't save her.
Colin called, it was about maybe 8 p.m. When he said Sheree's died, I was floored. I couldn't believe it. That after the childhood he went through and how much that loss really impacted his life. And it's like, how could this happen to him?
My own mother died 20 days before my second birthday, suddenly and unexpectedly in our family home.
It was really difficult to talk about her growing up. And I think Colin, throughout his life, found it really challenging not being able to talk openly and understand where we came from and who she was, because neither of us have our own memories of her.
That's my mum, as a little girl. After Sheree died, I sat the boys down and I knew whatever I said to them at that moment would stay with them. So I just told them about my own experience losing my mum. That when I was a teenager I probably didn't handle my mum's death like well and got myself in a bit of trouble and all that sort of stuff. And so I just said, we have to keep going. Mum wouldn't want us to stop. Let's make her proud. But I honestly thought, we're stuffed. How are we going to survive without her? She was our rock. Sheree's cause of death initially was just unknown. We had no idea what caused it. She was fit, never been fitter, and she would have been fitter than me at the time. It took a while for the coroner to come back to me because there were a couple of possibilities, and the most likely is that she's died from a sudden unexplained cardiac arrest. I didn't even know it existed. I thought a heart attack and a cardiac arrest were the same thing, just a different way of saying it. But I now know that a heart attack is usually a blockage and a cardiac arrest is more of an electrical issue where the heart just stops. She was there 1 minute and gone the next. Being a copper for over 20 years, I thought I knew what grief was. The reality is I didn't have a clue. It just smashed me. Some people in my life expected me to be able to just shut up, forget about it, move on, just be thankful that you had a good relationship. And so you lose people. I became aware of a group on Facebook for young Australian widows and widowers. There's nothing quite like finding your tribe. I found a group of people that knew what I was going through, and it was through that I became aware of Laura.
Stuart was a really good person. He was a good friend to a lot of people. We met at high school, so we were friends from year 7. I remember his friend coming up to me one time and he said, "Oh, Stuart really likes you, will you go out with him?" And I said, "No, he has to ask me himself." But he finally asked me out, and that was when I was 15, and we spent 18 good years together.
We have heart, determination, honesty and respect.
We're not afraid to get our hands dirty.
And we're good under pressure.
We'll face our fears.
And we'll try anything once.
From the moment they got together, it was just special. They had this outstanding bond. I hate the term soulmates, but they certainly were what you would picture as soulmates.
We bought an MG, which is my dream car, 1966 MG. and he did a full restoration on the MG for our wedding.
Stuart was still finishing it.
Stuart was still finishing
the early
it.
hours of their wedding.
3 o'clock in the morning, he messaged me. He sent me a photo of it. He's like, it's done. I'm like, how long did that take? 27 hours. Do not tell Laura.
I still remember him with the dirty fingers the day of your wedding.
At the wedding. His hands were black from grease from working on the car.
Oh, it was so funny.
It didn't come off. We spent a good 5 years planning and building the dream home. We were planning for a family, but 6 weeks after we moved in, Stuart died. That day, we were both at home and Stuart was working in the shed. He would normally come in when it starts getting dark. And I didn't know what, but I just felt that there was something wrong. I searched the entire shed. There was a pile of insulation and I just saw part of Stuart laying on the floor underneath the insulation. He was obviously completely still, lifeless. I yelled out to the neighbour. We began CPR. The ambulance arrived and another paramedic turned up and he just looked at me bluntly and he said, "He's deceased."
I was the first kind of close person in Laura's life to be there that night, and I can still remember the first word she said to me was, "I don't know what happened to Lise."
The days after, I mean, it was a blur. I wasn't sleeping and all the family was sitting around the dining table. Obviously everyone was very emotional and they said, "You need to make a decision about the funeral. You need to think about what we're going to do." And I said, "I can't think about that right now." And I just put the pregnancy test on the table and I said, "I'm pregnant." A moment like that, it's supposed to be a happy moment. You're supposed to celebrate it. But that pregnancy was incredibly difficult because it was so emotional and you're thinking the whole time, what if something happens? Knowing that she'd finally arrived and she was safe and she was healthy, it was just relief and elation.
Dulce is, she is so much like her father.
Tip it in.
She is so cheeky.
Oh, it's a lot of sugar.
Yes. So yummy, though.
This is so yummy.
Stu never got to meet his little girl. But, you know, at the same time, Laura,
Good stirring.
you know, she keeps the memory of Dada alive.
Do you know your daddy was a terrible cook, but one day he made Mummy a cake for my birthday and it was the shape of a car because he knew. Every night when I put her to bed, I kiss her and give her a big hug and say, "I love you and Daddy loves you too." And she'll see a photo of him and she'll say, "That's my daddy."
Yes.
Good job.
One more to edges.
The fact that Dulce's here is astounding. But yeah, there's obviously now that concern for what if with Dulce as well.
Stuart was only 34 when he died. He had no medical issues. He was fit and healthy. The coroner's office contacted me one time and said, Nothing's come out of all of the tests we've done. But she said in cases like this where it is medical and we can't find a reason, a lot of the time it is put down to a sudden cardiac arrest. I had no idea what it was. I'd never heard of it before. I'm a researcher myself. You know, what else do you do at night time when you can't sleep? I was on the computer researching everything I could.
I think some of the motive behind it as well was like, what can we do to stop this happening to others? She went on to the project just to promote awareness more.
Sudden cardiac arrest happens when the electrical activity in the heart stops.
Part of me still thought he would be okay, but I just couldn't stop screaming. Even now, the screams wake me up when I'm sleeping.
It was a very emotionally heavy day and I got home and I was just overwhelmed by everything. I remember taking a photo of myself and posting it in a widows group and explaining this is what happened.
I read that and I just thought, wow, what a courageous move to share her story and her grief, her vulnerability. But it also triggered an interest because what she was talking about sounded exactly like what had happened to Sheree. And so I reached out to her and it's a sliding doors moment, I'd call it.
It was a very long message and normally I would just ignore it. I just don't have the energy to reply. I've got a newborn baby, I just don't have the time. And I thought, well, what helped me early on was having someone to talk to and to relay my concerns, ask questions. And so we spoke on the phone and we spoke for hours.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yourself? She knew a lot more about sudden cardiac arrest than I did. So for me, I was getting all of this extra information, and then we also discovered that not only had they died the same way, but we had both found them and both tried to save them with CPR. We just had this connection.
We just Stuart talked about his wife, and then we arranged to meet. So we were going to go for a bushwalk. And I opened the door and he was standing there and I thought, oh, he's all right.
I think it was about 9 or 10 months after Sheree died that I first met Laura. And yeah, it would have been within a very short time frame after that things sort of started to happen. And had you told me that before Sheree died, I would have been, to be honest, I would have been horrified because my mind would have gone straight to Dad and what I'd sort of thought about that growing up. After Mum died, within a relatively short period of time, Dad repartnered. To me, I thought Dad must have stopped loving Mum pretty quickly to be able to start a new relationship.
The thought of repartnering, it was the last thing on my radar. It had just passed Stuart's 2nd anniversary of his death, but I felt like I was maybe getting some of those feelings. So I thought, all right, I'll take that step and we'll just see where it goes. And I'm, glad I did.
I remember you were making a shopping list on the plane.
Oh, I was too. I did my online shopping. I spent a long time, my whole life, sort of judging my dad for moving forward with his life really quickly and jumping into a new relationship, and here I was doing exactly the same thing. But when you know, you know. And when you've had a really good marriage before, the truth is, for me at least, I wanted it again.
I remember you answering the door and you were holding Dulce.
And I was flustered.
You didn't seem flustered.
I was up there visiting. She's mentioned the words my boyfriend and I've just stopped, looked at her and I'm like, what?
I remember thinking you're really tall.
Laura said to me, I need to tell you something. I'm seeing someone. She was obviously a bit worried about what others might think, but I said to her that anybody that knows you just wants you to be happy.
We walked past a big puddle and out of nowhere, you jumped in that puddle and drenched me.
When I first heard about Laura from Colin, I was a little surprised, but it was also really lovely that he'd found someone who got what he was going through and they could travel the journey together.
Yeah, it's a good spot down here.
Oh, I was just so happy for him. But then some people think like, you got to be sad and you're not allowed to have any fun, and you look like you're having a little bit too much fun now, Col, and I don't know how I'm going to cope with that.
That's what Stuart would order every single time.
Yeah, it's just really rough that some people gave him a bit of crap about moving on too fast. Because he didn't move on.
You need some cake?
I want a big tiny piece.
A big tiny piece. Is that big piece? That's a big piece for Dulce.
Even now, 4 years after Stuart's died, I still feel I'm married to Stuart. I still say I'm Mrs. Aisbett.
Every year, don't we? We do pizza and cake for Daddy's birthday.
I still wear my wedding ring, and I've got Stuart's wedding band as well.
What do you do for Sheree's birthday? There's little traditions.
Yeah, we had a cake. Laura made an awesome cake. My cake making skills are fairly limited.
Non-existent.
My wedding ring's on the widow finger, as they call it, the opposite side. And for me, wearing the wedding ring, I even get some judgment around that, actually. Yeah, people think it's a bit strange, but particularly now that I'm in a new relationship. But for me, it's not just a symbol of marriage. It is a symbol of marriage, and I feel as though Sheree will always be my wife. Stu will always be Laura's husband. But for me, it's a symbol of my love for Sheree, and that's always going to be there.
Love can coexist. I'll never stop loving Stuart, and Col is completely fine with that because I understand that he will always love Sheree.
I know she's not coming back, but I like to know that if she somehow had any awareness at all of where life's at, you know, she hasn't been forgotten. Yeah, she's still there.
You want a different toy?
Yeah, please.
You can have a look.
I just have a look. Is this your car?
I don't know that I could find a definitive moment where we decided we were going to combine our families. It just sort of evolved and happened, I guess, yeah.
We're gonna get in the kitchen.
I want to hang my koala.
The boys are great. You know, they're great with Dulce. She loves them. And I do refer to the boys as her brothers, and she is their sister. And I don't say I'm stepmum because I don't feel like I'm a stepmum. But I'd like to support them in whichever way they need.
Laura, the boys have really embraced her, and I check in on them often and just say, you know, how are you travelling? Are you still happy with the move? Are you happy living together like this? And the feedback I get's really positive.
Look at the colours on its wings.
Oh, you scared him.
I did scare him.
To Dulce, Col is Col. She doesn't call him daddy. She doesn't think he's daddy.
Yeah. Upside down, isn't it?
But she loves him. She's got him wrapped around her little finger.
They're not going to hurt you.
It's very, very different.
They're friendly.
But we're a family unit again, and that's really nice.
Wow, look at that one.
See
It's
the green one?
huge.
That, I like that green one.
Because we don't know how Stuart died, there are concerns for Dulce and her future and her health. And it weighs on my mind every day, is she going to die the same way Stuart did? So every 2 years or so, Dulce has to have cardiac testing. She started from 4 weeks of age.
What colour do you like? Right? Red? Yeah, let's do the red one.
All right, we're going to sit up here.
It is in the back of my mind, the what if. You know, what if history repeats? So I know I need to do whatever I can, humanly possible, to make sure that the boys are tested.
All right, jump on up for me.
That gives me some peace of mind that they're in the hands of experts in the field.
In these cases, it is presumed to be a genetic reason why the heart has stopped. And so it's really important that we keep seeing the family, that we undertake regular investigations of the heart. Sudden arrhythmic death or an unascertained death is actually the most common cause of sudden death in under 35-year-olds. And we see around a 90% mortality rate. It's around 5 times the volume of the fatal road toll.
I think it's just imperative that we have more funding for research. I'd also love to see everyone have a defib, an automatic defib in their home, and also defibs in public places with a registry of where they are located, because you never know when you're going to need it.
G'day, Dad.
G'day, Col.
How's things?
All the better for seeing you, I assure you.
Very good, very good.
I think for Colin, going through his own loss of his wife has made him understand Dad and Dad's decisions.
You just lost their life sort of thing.
Do you remember?
Dad's 86 now. He's in aged care. We've talked about our experiences being widowed, and I have been able to say, shit, Dad, I had no idea what you went through.
I suppose in the 70s it was done. Things were done a bit differently, where it wasn't really talked about.
Oh yes, indeed.
Where I saw weakness in my dad for a long time, I now see strength, because he didn't give up. He found a way forward. I've got a new appreciation for my stepmum too. Dad could still love her and still love our mum.
So Lucas has got a bronze medal around his neck.
Ah, yeah.
Do you remember how I told you about
Yes.
the baby?
I didn't know what was happening.
You had the pregnancy test hidden in that.
Promoted straight to chief.
Even a higher ranking than you. When Stuart died, obviously, we were planning a family. We always said we'd like maybe 2. I think I'd already written off the prospects of having another child. And then I met Col, and here we are. We've been hiding it for quite some time, so it's nice to finally be able to talk about it and share that happy news with family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really thankful and appreciative of the fact that the extended families are supporting us. So not only our own families, but Stu's family and Sheree's family have been really good too. Yeah. And it must be difficult in some ways, but they've been great.
I'm a lot older than what I was when I had the boys. I'm conscious of that.
Do you remember how to swaddle?
I don't remember the term swaddling, but I remember wrapping them up.
Yeah, you wrap them up.
I didn't think I'd ever end up taking the plunge again, but here I am. Life takes you in places that you don't think are possible sometimes, and so it's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, it's good.
So we've got our newborn baby at home with us, Rory Douglas. Rory was born in late December 2024, and we were fortunate enough to be able to bring him home on Christmas Day.
It was a pretty hectic time, but he's fitted into the family really well, and Dulce and the boys love their little brother.
He just needs one little thing more in his head though. It just looks a little bit cold there, don't you, mate? Get the Hawks beanie on. There we go. Every baby needs a Hawks beanie.
That's why I was crying about it.